Hello guys, gals, and non-binary pals of the YouTube, TW here, and welcome to my stream of conscious style video on Mass Effect Legendary Edition Part 2. That's right, this time we're taking a look at Mass Effect 2! Now we already see how long this video is, so I will not keep you here. Let's get to the review proper! First up, the story. So, Commander Shepard and the Normandy crew are out patrolling space investigating some mysterious disappearances when all of a sudden a gigantic ship just appears out of nowhere. The ship then proceeds to attack the Normandy, killing several crew members including Navigator Presley, who is the first named character from the previous game to die, but he will not be the last. Shepard makes their way to the flight deck to save Joker, and this might be one of the most iconic moments in gaming history. Like, seriously, look at this. Might not mean much now, but over a decade ago, this is one of the most talked about set pieces in gaming. Anyways, Shepard saves Joker from going down with the Normandy, but in doing so gets caught up in another blast and ends up completely spaced and actually dying. That is, until he is revived by a mysterious organization. Shepard is woken up by a voice of a person hell-bent on saving his life, and after battling some bots, they run into our first squad mate, Lieutenant Jacob Taylor, who has some snazzy biotic abilities. He leads us to our next squad mate, whose name I can't remember off the top of my head, but I'm sure it'll come back to me soon enough. Our next big development is Jacob telling Shepard that the organization that revived him is none other than the human supremacist group, Cerberus. For those who may not remember, Cerberus conducted horrendous experiments and also killed an Alliance admiral. Since we don't really have a choice, we work with Jacob and the guy to get off the station, and the woman on the intercom, Miranda Lawson, shows up and kills Wilson. There's the name! Just a shame he's dead now. Well, no use crying over dead terrorists, so let's hop on a shuttle and get out of this now dilapidated station. From there we head to another station to have a holographic conversation with the leader of Cerberus, a person known as the Elusive Man, aka Tim! Tim states that humans are disappearing and Shepard was brought back to discover who, what, when, where, why, and wumbo of it all. Shep agrees for now, and alongside Jacob and Miranda, sets off for Freem's Progress, which looks emptier than is showing for Morbius. It's here where we have our first reunion. Tali! She's leading her own team to rescue a Quarian who was here on his pilgrimage. Believe it or not, this scene is the first time we see any Quarian who isn't Tali. Kinda weird that she was the only one in the first game. Anyways, her team, understandably so, doesn't trust Cerberus, so they go in alone, but a giant mech draxes them sklounced. However, Shepard and co. don't have nearly as much of a problem. While Tali is attending to the wounded, Shep meets up with the Quarian Vitor, who reveals the culprits behind the disappearances. The Collectors! They're a species rarely seen and have only recently been targeting human colonies. Unfortunately, Tali can't join us as she has her own duties to fulfill. After returning to meet Tim, Shep agrees to take the Collectors down due to not only their crimes, but their suspected allegiance to the Reapers. It's here where we get our second reunion, but this time a permanent one. Jeff Joker Moreau! And on top of that, a brand new ship, the Normandy SR2, aka the best ship in the entire franchise, and you can all fight me on that, and by me, I mean at Shin Tiger Curl on Blue Sky. It's from here where our game is essentially divided into two halves, recruiting members for our team and completing their loyalty missions. Our first recruit is a bounty hunter by the name of Zaid Masani, who we just meet in the entrance of our first hub area, Omega, an asteroid colony filled with crime, and guess what? More crime! Our first recruit via a mission is a Solarian doctor by the name of Borden Solis, who not only is handy with a syringe, but a Glock as well. We help him get a cure for a plague that his guy's life all turned upside down because a couple of Vorcha who were up to no good started causing trouble in his neighborhood. Recruit number 2 is a Turian vigilante known as Archangel who's been causing trouble by killing as many criminals as possible alongside his band of merry men. Unfortunately, one turned heel and sold them out, leading to Archangel being the sole survivor, but who could this masked, mysterious, and handsome stranger be? None other than Garrus. He will romance you, Vicarian! He gets assaulted by a choppa and, well, that's not looking good. Thankfully, he got better because of another union that I forgot to talk about, who is Dr. Chakwas, whom I now realize I don't think I mentioned in my previous video. Oops. Anyways, Garrus is back and ready to bro it up. And from there, Shep heads to the Citadel and recruits the galaxy's greatest thief, Kasumi Goto. And Shep also meets up with Ambassador Anderson. Oh, fuck. No one's gonna get that reference in 2024. Regardless, despite the Council still not believing Shepard that Reapers exist, they still reinstate Shep's Spectre status.
Ah yes, Reapers. The immortal race of sentient starships allegedly waiting in dark space. We have dismissed that claim.
Oh, and Udina still exists. The bitch? So, our next recruit is Jack, who's being picked up from a for-profit prison. Gotta say, Bioware does a relatively decent job at portraying why for-profit prisons should just not exist. At all. Nevertheless, the warden of said hellhole wants to imprison Shepard, but the guards who attempt to attack them soon discover their grave mistake. Upon freeing Jack from her containment, we see that Wu-Tang Clan was clearly her favorite group because she ain't nothing to fuck with. After dispatching more guards, Shep shows the warden why it's always a mistake to go one-on-one with the Great One. Shep then meets up with Jack, who only agrees to go with them because 1. The station is kind of blowing up, and 2. She gets access to classified Cerberus documents. From here, Shep recruits a Krogan warlord, Okier, or at least attempts to after fighting a whole boatload of cannon fodder. Okier then tells Shep to kill the person in charge of the whole operation he's a part of and he'll join us. So Shep agrees, but said person pumps poison gas in the room while we're out killing her, so she's dead, Okier's dead, so I guess we're recruiting this popsicle in a tank. Said popsicle is Shepard's brand new son, Grunt, who only has one goal: find something strong and kill it with as big of a gun as possible. Following that, Tim sends us to the human colony Horizon as it's currently under collector attack, meaning we actually get to save people, well, some of them at least. One of those people is Kaidan Alenko, who is not happy about Shepard hooking up with Cerberus, but even after Shepard and Garrus explain the full picture to Kaidan, Guy still isn't having any of it. One theme in this game that seems really relevant now is how so many well-meaning people can get roped into extreme organizations like Cerberus. Here, the Council as well as the Alliance just want to brush anything Reaper-related under the rug and forget about it. That causes a lot of people to join Cerberus as they're the only properly organized group willing to do literally anything about it. Alright, how about another reunion? It's Tali time! We have to rescue her from a bunch of Geth who wiped out roughly 99% of her team, but thankfully her rocket launcher wielding badass, Cal Rieger, survived. Now that she's finished up with her deal, Tali agrees to venture with Shepard. Next, we head to our next hub area, Ilium, which is the first real metropolis of the series, and props to the devs for being able to convey the size and scope of the area with the design and skybox. Oh look, another reunion, Liara, and she's now an information broker with a mean streak.
I'll make it simple. Either you pay me, or I flay you alive. With my mind.
Man, a lot can change in 2 years. She gives us the info on our next 2 recruits, with the first being Samara. Samara is a Justicar, which basically means she sees justice in a very black and white manner, and should you violate it, she will kill you without a moment's hesitation. Our second and final recruitment is the assassin, Thane Krios. But first, we have the return of Nisana Dantius, who was in the previous game and gave us a side quest, and she's dead. Fuck. At least Thane lives up to his reputation. Oh, and he's in the final stages of a disease that has been slowly killing him. Lovely. Our next mandatory mission is investigating a collector ship that seems to have been deactivated, and man, just look at the size and scale of this thing. Remember, this was originally made with Xbox 360 hardware in mind, so just god dang! Anyways, the whole thing is a big old tarp, and now ship and crew gotta fight their way out, which they do rather easily. At least we got the data, which lets us know that the collector base is in the center of the galaxy, but before we do any of that, loyalty mission time! And speaking of time, for the sake of it, I won't mention all of the loyalty missions since this video is running long enough as it is. Firstly, we have Morden and Grunts, which both take place on the Krogan homeworld of TWK, which definitely looks like a Krogan world. Hey look, reunion number 473, Rex, who has spent the last 2 years uniting a bunch of Krogan under the Urdnot clan name in order to stop the pointless wars. Grunt's loyalty mission is just shooting things with big guns, including a fucking Thresher Maw. It's fine, but it does have one of my favorite moments at least.
Aliens don't know strength. My followers are true Krogan. Everything about Grunt is a lie. You dare. I like this human. He understands.
Morden's is one of the most important in the entire game. You head out to rescue one of his colleagues who helped create a mutated genophage, meaning Morden here helped keep Krogan women have stillbirths. However, even he gets taken aback when he sees the end result, which is the women willing to torture themselves in order to find literally any solution at all. Anyways, turns out Morden's bully Malin wasn't actually abducted and wants to write what went wrong here, and the player is given the choice to delete or save Malin's data. I always keep it for reasons we'll see in the third game. Oh, and after the mission, we get this!
I'm sorry. I know that was important, but you performed Gilbert and Sullivan?
I am the very model of a scientist Solarian. I've studied species Turian, Asari, and Batarian. I'm quite good at genetics as a subset of biology because I am an expert, which I know is a tautology. My xenoscience studies range from urban to agrarian. I am the very model of a scientist Solarian.
Thanks for sharing what you've learned, Morden.
The next loyalty mission belongs to Samara and takes place on Omega. You see, Samara has been hunting down her daughter, who is known as an Ardot Yakshi, an Asari with crazy powers that literally murder their romantic partner to death during the whole mind-melding gimmick. So we head to a club, do some of the best dancing anyone has ever seen, and get the attention of said daughter, known as Morinth. After wooing her, we head back to her place, but while she thinks she has the upper hand, the Messer becomes the Messie via the arrival of Samara. With help from Shepard, Samara finally kills her daughter because Morinth is the bad guy. Duh. You have no clue how long I've waited to say that. Gotta love a reference that hits on 2 levels. Ugh! Thane also has a combat-free loyalty mission which involves finding his estranged son who is about to commit an unaliving on a politician. Shepard stops him with the greatest Paragon move in the entire game, and now Thane can try to reconnect with his boy. There are also a few DLC campaigns bundled in this game, with the 2 must-plays being Project Overlord and Lair of the Shadow Broker. Overlord, while not plot important, is still fantastic, with one hell of an ending that will haunt your memories for years to come. Shadow Broker, as the title states, has Shepard going after the said character who's been lurking in the, shadows since the beginning of the first game. Liara has been after him for a good couple of years, so we team with her, but first, we have to fight a rogue Spectre. Remember when I said that giving those folks no oversight could be an issue in the previous episode? Well, here's the receipt. She works for the broker, stating that the ends justify the means. The game tries to make it seem even Steven, as Shep currently works for Cerberus, but Shep doesn't kill innocent people like she does, so the comparison doesn't really land with me. Maybe it would make more sense for a renegade Shepard, but a Paragon or even Paragate Shep doesn't just waltz around killing whomever whenever. They're still a hero. Anyways, we head off to the Shadow Broker's lair, fight a bunch of gooners, and we're finally getting to see who the big bad broker is, and okay, yeah, he's he's a big boy who has clearly been taking his proper vitamins. Thankfully, he goes down quicker than a queer-phobic politician in the bathroom of a gay bar thanks to some good old-fashioned Shepard punch! And with him dead, Liara takes over as the broker, which does lead into the next game. With all of that done, Shep heads off to get the IFF device that will allow them to navigate to the Collector base, but to do so we'll have to travel inside of a dead Reaper. And of course, the dead Reaper is crawling with husks. It should be noted that there was a Cerberus crew here, but of course, they got quite quickly. Oh, and there's also a Geth doing a friendly.
Commander.
After collecting the device, blowing up the Reaper's core, we decide to take the Geth with us back to the ship. Following a brief conversation, we come to the conclusion of referring to this Geth as Legion, as it has many Geth programs in its platform. So yeah, one last recruitment, as yes, Legion has joined our team due to there actually being two Geth factions. One, known to Legion as Heretics, wants to join the Old Machines, aka Reapers, and murder all organics, while the other wants to live in peace. So we help Legion with that by going to a Geth base, killing a bunch of Heretic Geth, and blowing the place to Kingdom Come. For the next mission, Shepard decides to take the entire combat crew with them, but while away, the Collectors show up and abduct the fuck out of everyone except Joker, who only survives thanks to the ship's AI Edie navigating him through the ship. Did I not mention Edie at all? If not, then yeah, Cerberus kinda gay Normandy in AI, and she's one of the most memorable characters in the franchise due to Trisha Helfer's excellent performance.
You want me to go crawling through the ducts again?
I enjoy the sight of humans on their knees. That is a joke.
Right.
The shaft behind you connects to the engineering deck. Good luck.
So Joker unshackles Edie and they get the fuck out of Dodge, and this is where video games can truly tell stories in unique ways. Throughout the entire game, we've been able to roam around the ship and listen to updating chatter from various crewmates talking to each other, but now it's a ghost town. Completely empty save for Joker, Edie, and our combat crew. Now we head for the Omega-4 relay. Depending on whether or not you upgraded the Normandy and did everyone's loyalty missions, pretty much anyone can die, so if you want everyone to live, do the missions, upgrade the ship, and choose the assignments for the suicide mission wisely. Story-wise, the only thing you need to know is that the Normandy crew beat the Collector ass, and when Tim shows up, he's all like, "Hey buddy, can you keep the base intact?" Shep responds with, no, fuck all of that noise, and blows it all the way up.
Gist of it, Edie. Hold on!
You have failed. We will find another way. Releasing control.
Oh, and everyone survives, so happy ending! I'll be honest, I typed way more plot than I thought I would for this game, which should really speak on its quality. And even saying that, just like with Mass Effect 1, I still had to leave a lot out for time. Once again, another excellent story from Bioware. Now for the gameplay, and hoo boy did they change things up here. ME2 fully embraced being a third-person shooter with tank controls, and I'll be lying if I said it didn't feel right. The one thing you notice is how fast your shields and health drain compared to the first game, so you would better utilize that cover. Missions are also a lot more linear, but that is not a bad thing, as that just means levels just have a tighter design versus the more open and, frankly, empty ones of the previous game. Also, due to the bigger budget from EA, Bioware was able to make every mission have a unique looking level. Almost every location looks like its own, with the only exceptions being those that take place in the same location. I know there's a section of fans who prefer the more exploratory nature of Mass Effect 1, but between the janky vehicle controls and how empty those areas felt, I never really missed them when playing 2 or 3. The biggest addition are the Paragon and Renegade triggers, which occasionally pop up during dialogue, and they allow the player to earn some extra points. Let me tell you, these alone are the reasons why at the end of the game I had a decent amount of Renegade points as opposed to Mass Effect 1 where I had almost none.
Tell me where the assassin is.
I've got nothing more to say to you. If you...
How about goodbye?
Damn, I could take notes from you, Shepard.
And as far as presentation goes, do I really need to say a word? Any singular word? Mass Effect 2 has fully cinematic cutscenes for damn near every conversation that blows the first one way out of the water. I mean, just the reveal of the SR2 is on par with the best cutscenes from the previous entry, let alone everything else. And with this being a sequel, of course everything just looks better. The original game came out in 2007, and 2 was released in 2010, so you can clearly see how well Bioware learned the tech of the 7th generation of consoles. The soundtrack, while not my favorite, is still quite good. I think it leads too far in the orchestral department, but there are still some standout tracks. Really, the only area where this game has any real flaws is the romance. That's fine if you're 100% hetero, but what if you're not? Well, you have Liara if you romanced during the first game, but if not, then too bad, you get nothing. This is due to Fox News doing a hit piece on Mass Effect 1 and the higher-ups getting scared and thus cut queer romances for both Jack and Jacob. This is especially egregious for Jack as she is written as both bisexual and polyamorous, and it's a shame that these romances weren't fully restored in the remaster. Thankfully, Bioware has learned not to cater to the anti-queer brigade and has since tripled down on being a queer-friendly studio with every subsequent release, especially the Dragon Age games. Overall, Mass Effect 2 is still a goated entry, and not just for Mass Effect or even Bioware, but just as a video game. The gameplay, the characters, the setting, it's all just so amazing, and the fact that they are able to top the first game really shows how much Bioware was cooking with Mass Effect 2. And I am so happy that with this remaster, a whole new generation of fans are able to play it and hopefully get the same enjoyment as I do. Interesting that they decided to go with the Paragate option for the cover of the entire collection, as for me personally, I only really go Paragate in the second game, not so much 1 and 3. It just sort of fits the second game since you're in a very lawless part of space, but that's just me. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. What's your favorite Mass Effect game, and overall, how do you usually play Mass Effect 2? Do you play Paragon, Renegade, Paragate? Let me know, as well as who you romance. As you saw in this playthrough, I'm romancing Liara all the way through because I am a loyal Leonard. Anyways, that is the video for you all. I will not keep you any longer, especially considering the overall length of the video. Goodness gracious. This might be my longest video ever, at least as far as scripted content goes. So, hope you all enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time for Mass Effect 3! I have no idea why I'm holding out that last note for. No idea why. Anyways, hope you all have a perfect rest of your day.
This recruits is a 20-kilo ferrous slug. Feel the weight! Every 5 seconds, the main gun of an Everest-class dreadnought accelerates 1 to 1.3% of light speed. It impacts with the force of a 38-kiloton bomb. That is 3 times the yield of the city buster dropped on Hiroshima back on Earth. That means Sir Isaac Newton is the deadliest son of a bitch in space. Now, Serviceman Burnside, what is Newton's first law?
Sir, an object in motion stays in motion, sir.
No credit for partial answers, maggot!
Sir, unless acted on by an outside force, sir.
Damn straight! I dare to assume you ignorant jackasses know that space is empty. Once you fire this hunk of metal, it keeps going till it hits something. That can be a ship, or the planet behind that ship. It might go off into deep space and hit somebody else in 10,000 years. If you pull the trigger on this, you are ruining someone's day, somewhere and sometime. That is why you check your damn targets. That is why you wait for the computer to give you a damn firing solution. That is why, Serviceman Chung, we do not eyeball it. This is a weapon of mass destruction. You are not a cowboy shooting from the hip.
Sir, yes, sir.